Hey chess lovers, welcome back to the Chessyard. This is the Herebaga and let's solve some more puzzles today. So I'm at 2070 odd if I remember correctly, yes, and would like to reach 2100 by the end of this video. Of course, you never know what happens, but that is the plan. Okay, so we've got a check, and to save a check, there can be a few things. I can take the queen out of the game, but if I do so, opponent takes, and then I have to follow up with something. And I need to figure out that something. There is no other option because basically, if I move the king away, my queen is lost for free. So the first move has to be queen takes queen. And now we should be thinking what is the second move? The rook is steering this, but it doesn't look scary because there is not double rooks there. I have escape I can take initially, of course, if there's no threat, if nothing is defending it. So the opponent will not move it. Now the question is, should I push it forward and trade off, or I just move my knight backwards? That's a check. Okay, maybe I should just no. See, these are in diagonal, so I cannot fork for sure. Otherwise, knight coming here can fork. But I cannot come to the adjacent square that easy, even in two moves. So, what are we going to do about it? Um, can actually push the pawn. Opponent takes. I cannot. I can take, but then I lose. An opponent has extra piece. So there has to be a better continuation than this. What am I missing here? There has to be something, some idea behind this. Let's just develop and let the opponent take, and then just sidestep, win the knight. That is a comeback in the game. I can simply move my knight right now as well. It's a check, but opponent will take the pawn, and then I can take the knight. That's the best I'm getting out of this. Is there something else that can be done? Is the question. I don't see a very nice continuation to this somehow. Coming to e4 with the knight is one option as said. Gets a discovered check, opponent takes, and I win the knight at least. There's no mate here, no mating net. Giving a discovered check is the option only. If I move my knight here, then again, um, what difference does it make? Maybe this, no? Okay, what's the solution? Knight going backwards, saving the pawn, and giving a check. Opponent can go back, and then this is mate. If he goes back, cannot take pawn defense, cannot take knight defense. So that is the mate. Okay, so knight had to go to a square which defends the pawn. Nice. Let's continue. Okay, so a check has come. I can simply take. Looks good to me. Opponent can take as well. I of course cannot take with the king. I cannot escape. Can go here, but then I'll eventually fall in a mating net. Rather just take it to begin with. Opponent takes the rook, then go for queen exchange. Now I have this coming, and then this should be checkmate eventually. It's a check. It is not a mate actually because the opponent can take the knight. So there has to be some other continuation. Maybe it's to give a check. Oh yes, it's simple. You give a check, opponent takes, no other option, then you go back and then you win the queen in the same diagonal, win the queen. Let's go next. Attacks the rook. Rook can go back. I think this is something similar, which I think we saw yesterday. I can give a check, I can take the rook, but then my rook also falls. That's the problem. So rather, I think I'll give a check with the rook from the back rank. Opponent goes up. I give a check from here. Opponent plays pawn forward. I place my queen up, attacks the rook, threatens checkmate, and that should be victory. And now I think queen here should be fine. Because I'm threatening a lot of stuff. I'm threatening mate, I'm threatening the rook. Rook goes back, I can take the rook and win it. Okay, the next puzzle, rook comes up to defend the pawn twice. I can still take, is one way. Maybe I should be taking it. Yes, it looks like very much I should take it. But with which piece? Because rook takes, then the opponent takes with the rook. Because I have other rook also coming in eventually. So I can take it. Bishop is nice on general basis. Bishop takes bishop is one option. Rook comes in between. I take the rook. I get the other rook as well in the open file, but what do I gain from here? It's a simple exchange, nothing substantial of an advantage. Or is there any which I'm not able to see right now? There has to be something. Let's just say bishop takes bishop, rook takes bishop, rook takes again, queen takes. The rook comes in the c file, c8 again, attacking the queen. Queen goes where? Queen can go anywhere. And then there's no threats at all. So we just trade off rook and bishop for nothing advantageous, and that's not how puzzles are meant to be. Playing pawn forward is bad. Opponent can take with the knight. I can take the bishop out first, and then I can basically take the knight as well with the bishop because it's a pin. It's a pin on the queen, so I think playing pawn forward makes more sense. Yes, and now there is a choice. I want to take this first, but then opponent takes my bishop. I think if I take the bishop, I'm threatening to take on the rook as well. So I think I should take the bishop first. Yes. Now I can take this knight for free. Perfect. 2087. Probably, if it's a higher rated puzzle, then I complete 2100 in this one itself. Otherwise, maybe one more. But for that, I need to solve this right. That's important and looks tough. All right. To begin with, bishop is pinned. The weakness is the square. So maybe going to queen with h5. Queen h5 looks very strong. Queen h5 looks very strong to me. Pawn forward would mean I can give a check as well. Queen h5 looks strong. My bishop is also right now different with the queen. Queen h5 still saves my bishop, so there's no check coming as well. Of course, king and queen are on the same diagonal, but my bishop is not getting there anytime soon. This is pinned though. I can play pawn forward, but opponent will take. Oh yes, I can. If what if I just play pawn forward? Queen takes. If the queen takes, then we have bishop coming here, and I win the queen on the spot because this is saved. But if I play pawn forward and opponent doesn't take, then what? Because you always have to think from that perspective as well. And then queen can come on to d4 and give a check. I can pursue with rook, but then eventually queen can come down as well onto g1. So lots of options for queen to maneuver, not necessarily force take this pawn. And if queen doesn't take the pawn, our tactic doesn't work. Queen can go back as well. So it's not a solution. Solution has to be more compelling, which is more forceful for the opponent to move. I think it should start with queen h5. Somehow I have a very high feeling towards it. No? Okay. What's the solution? Oh, sack the queen, of course. Yeah. Why not? Why should we sack? Oh, we have a dark square bishop lining in with a beautiful checkmate. This kind of a checkmate pattern happens in a Caro Kann against the Caro Kann as well. So yeah, should have spotted sack the queen as well. Okay, anyways, let's go to the next one. I can take the pawn, give a check. My bishop is nice. The queen is hanging. Um, Queen to queen. So it's a queen X trade that just happened. Rather than focusing on the queen, I would try to take this out first with a check. Never leave check is the basic funda whenever you get it. Okay, now rook can come here, can go up for a continuation of check because otherwise my rook is lost. Right, so if I have to continue with a check, how do I continue with a check? If I go here, I am giving a check, asking king to move down only because if I go up onto h7, suddenly king comes on to f7, f6. If I take the rook, opponent takes my rook. Otherwise, my rook is lost. So I think giving a check from here makes more sense. It's more compelling, and that's why it's the right solution to it as well. Okay, so now rook takes the bishop in this one to begin with. There is a back rank weakness. I think queen takes rook looks prominent to begin with. Queen takes rook is the check as well. I don't see any reason why should I not. Because oh, the bishop is also here. That's why I should not. So rather I'll give a check from here and then opponent can only take and then I take back. It's a back rank mate, right? I'm not missing anything. They can come in between with the rook, which I can of course take. I think this should be the solution. No, takes is a better move. Oh yeah, because okay, I can go to the next back puzzle. I don't know. Yeah, and I get that puzzle now. Takes and then get the rook in the back rank. Okay, right thought process, not the right execution. That has been the problem. Anyway, let's continue. I think taking the pawn makes sense, but then you sack the knight, so it doesn't make sense. If you just give a check, you push the king up, dragging the queen and the king up is always a theme. Uh, or I have this move, wonderful move, pawn to g4, which saves my knight. Uh, Prevents king from coming up as well. Only move for the king is this, and then I take. I think g4 looks very strong to me. Yes, it is. And now queen comes here. I have to save. If I just go up, then again, what's the threat? Uh, Check can be repeated, but if I go here, I can put my rook as well in between. So I think d2 is a better square. No. Okay, e1, e2 was why because I can escape. Okay, and then you win just the piece. Okay, another check comes in. How do we save this check? Can I just move up? There are a few options. You don't have to land into a fork. That's all it is. I think going towards makes sense. Oh no, wait a second. The pawn is going to be promoted eventually, so I have to go down. Stop it from being promoted. Now maybe you can just push the pawn. If opponent takes my rook, I queen. Yeah, that's the solution to it. Next one, opponent takes the pawn. Pawn, right? Yeah. This knight is hanging, but then of course opponent can take back. Rather, I'll take the rook first. Otherwise what? Nothing changes much. Anything else that I'm missing? Maybe I should just take the rook first. No. Take the knight. No. Okay. Push the queen. Yeah. And then take. And when this comes in, I just sack it. Oh no, I can take now because queen bishop takes backwards. All right. A fork is visible. Queen is going to come on to b4 as well. That's another option. Rook takes pawn is strong too. There's a threat of checkmate here if I move the queen, but still I have to move the queen if I have to create my own threats. Um, Closing the diagonal of the bishop is very nice in the games, but yeah, okay, let me go with this. Then maybe go with a check eventually. Have to go with a check. And now I have this coming down. I have this coming down. Yes. Because then queen comes in and that should be close to very much a good checkmate eventually after, let's say, c5. Okay, opponent comes with the bishop. What do we do here? Need to open the center because this queen is very nice, or this queen is close to trap, almost being trapped. So a knight move traps the queen. Yes, the knight move traps the queen. Opponent can give a check and I can simply take with the bishop or the queen, which is better. I cannot take with the queen because this is lost. Yeah. Opponent takes. I cannot take because queen will be lost. Uh, there's a way to threaten the queen. I don't see anything beyond this for now. Taking is bad. Queen going up is also not a solution. I think attack the queen, attack the pieces straight away. Side steps, and then you just win the bishop. Okay, you can take the bishop. Uh, the knight is also hanging. Which is more important piece for you to take off? Bishop. I think I should be going for the bishop hunt. I should be going for the bishop hunt. Knight goes here. I can give a check and trade of the knight, but you should not be trading when you're down. But I don't see any other good move as well, is the problem. Knight can go down, doesn't win anything on the spot. Knight here will be a check, but then opponent can take. What if I just take this first? I take the knight, opponent takes, and then I go here with a check, and then I have a possibility of forking eventually. I think rook takes knight is a strong move, yes. And then this is very vicious. I said a fork might come up. There we go, and we reached 2100 finally. Okay, that was some struggle, a lot of puzzles solved, but I hope you enjoyed it and you got to learn something out of it. I hope you subscribe to the channel too, and I shall see you tomorrow with some interesting and instructive content like always. Thanks for your time. Take care. Bye bye.